Today I'm at the Hulda Klager Lilac Gardens, and we're inside Hulda's house, which usually we're not. Usually William and I are out in the garden looking at all the beautiful flowers, but today I'm with a very special woman. I'm with Jane Kirkpatrick, who has written a book about Hulda Klager. It's called Where Lilacs Still Bloom. Jane, it's really a fascinating book because it's really not about flowers, but about Hulda and her generosity and her life.
It is. She was just a very inspirational figure, I think, and most of my books are based on the lives of actual people. And I get to talk to their descendants and do the genealogy, and I'm trying to figure out what it was about their lives that can speak to our generation. And so Hulda was a great subject because she was so persevering. She had a great passion for not just flowers. She started out with apples. She loved her family. She loved her family. She liked to make pies, but she did not like those mealy little apples that were the peels stuck to the apple like bark to a tree.
Oh,
so
yeah, it makes it difficult.
She wanted to do more pies, and so that's what began her study of botany and plant breeding. So she eventually got a really crisp, big apple that was easier to peel, and her husband, Frank, was happy because he liked his pies.
So, of course.
And then she went from there to Dahlias, I believe, and then eventually lilacs called her name. So she began this great passion for them, and she was like Luther Burbank, who was a contemporary, and she corresponded with him. She had the ability to sort of look at a plant and see it very singularly. So you and I might look at a plant and go, well, that's a beautiful yellow, or that's a beautiful purple, but she would see something that was like, that's purple, but it's just a tad more purple than the one next to it. And the other thing she had was a great ability she had a great imagination, so she could see, if I breed this with this, there's a good chance I'll get this color or this hardiness or this scent. And the combination of that singularity of sight and imagination is what really made her unique in being able to develop more and more and more of these varieties. So eventually she had over 250 individual varieties.
Wow,
so
that is a talent and an art.
Yeah, and a very persevering, because if you go outside, at the time that she was here, this was in a flood zone, and so there were many floods, and the 1933 flood was a really devastating one, and of course the 1948 one just wiped the garden out, but at least for a time, because persevering Hulda, restored it. But
and you talked about her generosity, where she was always giving plants away. I mean, she just doesn't breed them, but she really gave them away to people that loved them because she loved them so much.
She did, and she. I think Frank at some point may have suggested, well, maybe we could sell these in a catalog. But she said, and there was an interview done in 1928 with Better Homes and Gardens, and she said she really didn't want to sell them in a catalog. She liked it that people would come here and she could see who was going to get her little cultivar. And so she gave away more and more, and the ones that didn't meet her exacting standards, there's a story that said that she pulled up a whole bunch of them and Frank put them in a wheelbarrow and rolled it out by the picket fence and put a sign saying, take one home, and that there was probably a little bit of miff in that because she would have not liked people to have less than the best.
Oh, of course.
But at the same time, she was, I think, happy that there were lilacs all over Woodland that she knew she probably knew their ancestors personally. I mean, she'd probably walk through somebody's yard and go, oh, I know what that was 1912 or something. So, but yeah, she gave them away, and people in as early as 1912, thousands of people came to this garden from all over the country.
Wonderful.
And they would, transportation was not as easy as it is today, so they came by steamship and probably, drove their little cars, but train and, whatever. So she invited, there was something about this place, and if you walk around, it's very enchanting.
It is, and I really invite everyone to come up here because we're right at almost peak bloom, and so really to come up and experience the house, the gardens, and really walk in Hulda's shoes. Well, thank you so much. It's really interesting, and the book is just great for all this other information. Thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. Yeah.